All four things are still on.
Yes, sir.
How is everyone?
Hello.
Hi. How are
Can
you?
you hear me?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. All right. Hey, Christina.
Hey, can you hear me now?
Uh-huh.
All right. Hi, Tracy. Hit your unmute button.
Oh,
There we go. Hi. I thought I was being muted by
Nope.
someone else.
Hi.
I just want to have the raise your hand thing.
Where is the raise your hand thing?
I don't know.
What we're going to do is, and I don't know if we should be talking about this. I don't know if we're live or not, but city manager Dee's be making sure everybody speaks when they're supposed to and keep track of it. Can you all hear me?
We can hear you, Frank.
Okay.
Is this your meeting?
Can you read my lips?
I don't know why she's big though.
My audio. All of
Oh,
our
this is
mics.
all the squares evenly.
Mr. Chair, just one moment, please. Nathan is a board member, right? Nathan's a board member?
I got it today, not yesterday. So I have to do the awkward, like going back in and buying more at the same shop.
No. So you guys are on a 561 right now?
Yeah, I'm probably Luna's
Okay. All right.
or Killam's or something.
Do you need your mask?
No,
All right. Bye. Oh, hey, I'm unmuted again.
We have,
Everybody, how you guys doing?
I've unmuted and activated all the board members' cameras. Please stand by.
Who's in charge? Frank?
That would be Frank.
Wow, cool.
All right,
Hi,
well,
guys.
it's 4:00. Are we ready to go, Dave?
Yes, be sure to turn the meeting off to me when you call it to order so I can read a statement.
Yes, I will. All right, well, I will call the meeting to order. It's 4:00 of the Community Redevelopment Board for May. And the first thing we're going to do is have City Manager Days explain how the meeting is going to work.
Good afternoon. This is the meeting of the Community Redevelopment Board on May 5th, 2020. Pursuant to Executive Order number 20-69 issued by the Office of the Governor Ron DeSantis on May 20th, 2020, municipalities may conduct meetings of their governing boards without having a quorum of its members present physically or at any specific location, and utilizing communication media technologies such as telephonic or video conferencing as provided by Florida Statute 120.54. Procedures for the public comment time. By device, if you wish to speak during public comment, click participants, then click raise hand at the bottom of the window. Your microphone will be unmuted when you are called to speak, and you will be invited to activate your camera if you wish. All cameras will be turned off except for the board members during the meeting. Both will be deactivated once your comment time is completed. If you're attending by telephone, press *9 to raise your hand. You will be called by your partially displayed phone number, so please listen for that number during public comment. The host will lower your hand and mute your line after you're done speaking. Please state your name and address prior to any public commenting. Board members are asked when the clerk calls the roll to indicate if you are attending in person or remotely to this meeting. Chair.
Okay, thank you. A couple of other things, because I can't see what's going on at City Hall. The city manager will be in charge of knowing who's ready to speak, who wants to speak, if there's somebody there. And so I'll ask the question of him to do it. And let's go for a roll call, please.
Chairman Walker,
Here.
Vice Chairman Ritchie,
Here.
Board Member Campenny,
Here in person.
Board Member James,
Here.
Board Member Lewis,
Here remotely.
Board Member Maldonado,
Here remotely.
Board Member Walls.
Here remotely.
Okay, thank you. The next item is we have a number of minutes, and we need to approve the minutes. Is there any comment or a motion?
Move approval.
Seconded.
Okay, could you state your name just to make sure everybody, who moved it?
I did. Pete Walson.
Seconded?
Chris Lewis seconded.
Okay, thank you. Is there any comment from the members? Hearing none, is anyone opposed to it? Is everyone in favor? Yes.
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 Thumbs up maybe, and then we'll know for sure. All right, everybody's in favor. It's unanimous. The next item is comments from the public on a non-agended item. Is there anyone, city manager, who is from the public that wishes to speak?
Anyone filled out a green card to speak? I have no one in the room, but I do have a hand raised on Zoom by
Okay.
Hi,
Hi.
Tracy Barnes from 617 Southwest Channel Avenue in Stewart. About the shops, Colorado shops. Do I have 5 minutes or do I just start
Yeah.
talking? Or?
Yes,
Okay.
you do.
Okay, so in the event some of you haven't physically seen this property, I wanted to take you here because I live at the end of the street. So there are, how do I turn my camera around? Is that possible? Yes. There are 3 of these drains in this area that slope down along with that from the road. I don't know if you can see that. And that's our main situation here for the property owners. The owners here, there is across the little street there, a lake that they actually drain into this property when their pond gets too deep. So during Hurricane Francis, this entire property where they want to build was filled. And certainly the last 3 hurricanes that spared us, Matthew, Irma, and Dorian, would have been far worse than Francis. During Francis, without this area, our entire neighborhood would have, well, certainly this property, but as you go down the street to my property on 617, would have all been, the water would come into our house. It went over the seawall in the back and 2 feet from the back of our house. So you can see it's very deep. You may already know that. This over here is where Fraser Creek is. And it's the little bridge on Colorado is what you see through the trees. But we just are concerned with where the water is going to go if this elevation is raised up. And the fact that paragraph 11 of the staff report says that stormwater drainage shall be accommodated on the site or shall be removed from the site in a manner which does not adversely affect the nearby property or the public storm drainage system, doesn't really convince me that a 12,000 square foot building would be able to deal with the water runoff, along how it dealt with it before with that building on it. Sorry. I don't know where the water comes from that comes through those drainage pipes. And we're just very concerned about the fact that what is our storm retention area could be built up and flood us all out. Just want to make sure that they take the proper precautions and it's really going to work. And that's really it. I just would ask that stop by if you want to see it in person. And thank you to please consider anything that I said in your recommendation to the city commissioners.
Thank you. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yep. All right, we will move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion?
We have a motion by Mr. Campani.
Okay, do we have a second?
By
We have
Mr.
a
Ritchie.
hand up. Nathan Ritchie seconded it with a peace sign and a thumbs up. And all right, the next, we'll vote on that. All in favor, say aye.
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 All right, it's unanimous. There's no one opposed, correct? All right, the next item on our agenda is comment. We did comments from the public. I skipped ahead. I guess that's, but we're up to comments from the board. Is there any comments from the board on non-agended items right now?
I just hope everybody's been safe and their families, everybody's been safe regardless of everything that's been going on.
You too.
Thank you.
Thank you. We lost one board member. Is she, well, I guess we still have a quorum, so we'll have to continue on. Any other comments from the public? And thank you.
This is non-agenda items.
On non-agenda items, yes. All right, seeing no one who has a comment, I have one. I'm going to have to abstain from participating in item 3 and 4 on our agenda because I am myself and my family are principals in some of the parcels associated with those properties. And I am the representative for the development group that owns those properties. So I'm going to not participate. And however City Attorney Mortel wants me to, whether I can still run the meeting or I need to turn it over to Nathan, he can let me know when we get to that point. And other than that, everybody looks good. So I assume you guys are all doing good, right?
Doing pretty good. Hanging in there.
All right, good. All right. The next we'll have the first public hearing, and I don't have the entire thing. So can someone read that into the record, please? It's R55-2020 Shops on Colorado Annex. Is that good enough?
Want me to do it?
Yes, please.
The title of item, resolution number 55-2020, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Stewart, considering a major urban code confidential use approval to allow the deviation of requirements regarding principal building placement, front street facade width, parking location, and certain architectural requirements within the urban center zoning district. Approving plans for development to allow the construction of 11,929 square feet of commercial, office, retail, and restaurant within 2 buildings, providing an effective date, providing for a timetable of development, and for other purposes.
Okay, I guess we'll go to staff for the presentation. Thank you for doing that.
Thank you, Chairman. Steve Mayer for the record, our development department. There's a typo up on the board. I apologize. It's the Shops of Colorado Annex. It's Resolution 55-2020, and as was read in the record, is a major urban conditional use approval to allow a total of 11,929 square feet of office, retail, and restaurant in 2 buildings, separated by a sidewalk. The major urban code conditional use approval is to allow deviation of requirements in Chapter 3, the principal building placement, the front street facade width, location, height, and other certain architectural requirements. The applicant has mailed notices that were sent 300 feet around the property, and the sign was posted on Colorado, reposted again on April 24th, and that is a picture of the sign. The location is on the would be the west side of South Colorado Avenue, just south of the circle with Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. The location obviously is, as you can see on the map, it is vacant with some parking that does exist for the property to the south of that, which some of you might know is the Glassford property and has fruits and roots in there, and that is the location of the property. Next slide. The existing land use is, the future land use and not being changed is urban district. And all the surrounding adjacent properties are also urban district. The zoning of the property is urban center, and with the one exception that there is some urban highway to the south, but it's primarily adjacent properties are also urban center. You see that on the other side of Fraser Creek, there is some urban water front property, and there's some neighborhood property to the north as well. Now, the applicant is to last roof. They're requesting the major urban code conditional use in accordance with section 30106. They are asking for 5 principal derivations of code. The first is the principal building location. It says in the code that the front facade shall be constructed parallel to the street along the front line with a required build-to line of 0 feet. Proposed as a build-to line of 11.1 feet. There'll be about 11 feet of setback where in the code it requires 0. The applicant will address some of these things, and also in our staff report, we addressed that there is a need for this 11 feet, primarily due to its location near the Fraser Creek Bridge. It doesn't allow for it to adequately get to 0 feet. Also, there are some easements some stormwater easements that provide that give a little bit of reason why it can't get to 0. Similarly with the location, with the easements, and also with the bridge, the second request for facade width has some similar justification. The front street facade width of the principal building shall not be less than 80% of the lot width. Technically, they do not meet the code. The proposed site plan has a building facade of only 27%. However, the 50-foot right-of-way, which is part of the lot width, a forest main easement also prevents the use of the entire lot. When you take those 2 out, as well as a 10-foot shoreline protection zone along Fraser Creek, then we're looking at we're at 70% lot width in reality. The height, the minimum building height for this zoning district is 2 stories for 26 feet. The proposed building is single story. The top of the parapet wall are exactly at 26 feet. The top of the roof is at 20 feet. So it's designed to appear like a 2-story structure, and therefore staff is in recommendation of approval of this as well, because they're attempting to meet the intent of the code in this regard. The fourth is the parking location. All the parking shall be located behind the rear facade of the principal building or screened from public right-of-way by a street wall or other screening approved by the city director. The applicant is proposing to screen the parking along the side with landscaping, and we contend that they probably could do some more with trellis work, but it is up to you to take a look at the landscaping and see if they have done enough screen the parking that is on the side of the building location, proposed building location. And then finally, with architectural elements, balconies are required along the street facades for all buildings, but this is not going to be a 2-story building. Vertical balconies would not really make sense in this location. We're recommending approval that way. And also, ground floor frontage shall have doorways, gates, and gates open. That is actually not doing this per se, but they are providing garage doors that will be open during times of when the restaurant is open, which would give absolutely more than 50% open space. So at the time of when it's open, they should be able to achieve that intent. They also have a covered patio with some railings, giving a harder edge to that street frontage. We're going to look at the site plan, just the general layout. What we see in the dark shading areas is actually parking areas. And the white buildings you can see along the river. Buildings in total with sidewalk wrapping around and towards the south and in between the 2 buildings. Totaling 11,929 square feet with uses of retail, office, and a restaurant, which will be located along the street front of Colorado. Now, we had a comment about retention areas. You can see where the retention areas are on the site plan. They're primarily, the largest section is on the west side of the property, south of the that's a primary retention area. There's also a retention area near the parking on the south side where that drive aisle is. It should be engineered to contain all of the water for the 100 foot event. And as to the engineering regarding the stormwater on the site. This is the landscape plan. You can see that it meets all of the required landscape code in terms of number of trees, percentage. They also have this is a three-sheet plan, which also has tree mitigation, which is meeting code as well. So they don't have very many trees on the site. You see that it's mostly vacant. They do have a few trees that they're going to have to remove, and they're accounting for that in their tree mitigation strategy. As you can see in the full, I just put the first one that page, but you can see in the full landscape plans they do that. Now the next three slides are architectural renderings, and the applicant has asked me to provide those so that they can speak to the architecture as well. The architecture is, in certain respects, does not meet the urban center zoning, but is good architecture. We recommend approval of the package in terms of the architecture, and you can see in the next few slides the renderings that they provided. And those three shows. One of the impediments to kind of see, go back one, see where the park benches are. That's actually where the railings are for the bridge and over the creek, and that part of the property doesn't come in towards the property line until well afterwards. So it does make it hard for the building to address the sidewalk. Couldn't easily do it on the sideline because of where that bridge is and where the railing is. And so that's one of the aspects of why they require it to ask for this major urban code conditional use. So now this concludes the staff presentation. I'm here for any questions. The applicant also is here to make their presentation. Finally, staff does recommend approval of Resolution 55 and heard by City Commission, moved to forward to City Commission May 26, 2020.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions for the staff from the board?
I have a question.
Yes.
So in Fraser Creek, right next to where I think you are putting the restaurant, there's quite a lot of mangroves in the creek there. Have you taken that into account? Are those going to need, I mean, I don't think you can take those out. I'm not sure how you can.
Yeah, it is not requested to take any of the mangroves out of the river. They also have a 10-foot. They also have a 10-foot construction zone buffer between the river, the mean high water of the river, and where they will do any kind of construction.
Okay. Okay. Anyone else?
Yeah, notice that in Nathan Ritchie, in the elevation that you showed, they do have mangroves there, but they have them windowed out in the previous page. Put that back by chance.
Which slide?
One more. There you go. Nope, back one. I mean, you had it. There. See how it's cut up until it makes an umbrella to the right. That's the creek, not. Follow me?
I didn't follow you. Sorry, repeat that.
Okay, so on Christina's remark about the mangroves, and you'll see in this picture that those plants on the right-hand side of the picture would represent the mangroves. That's the canal that's right there, the creek, and they have it cut as though it's a umbrella, a window box. So if they're not going to touch it, it's not going to look like that.
It seems like maybe a rendering thing.
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm Kristen Brown, Tim Lasser Associates. We have not done so yet, but you can do they call it a mangrove, some kind of plan that you get from. But yeah, the idea is to window those mangroves. You're allowed to trim, from what I understand, about 25% per year, so we would lift them up a little bit with the intent of being able to treat from the inside. But it's a mangrove maintenance plan, is what it's called. And they're very picky about what you're allowed to do with the mangroves, but this is one of the options that they allow you to do, along riverfronts, from what I understand.
I'm familiar. I just noticed picture versus nothing's going to be done.
Right. They are fully grown now, and we do plan on having them put in place.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm just pointing out that the photo doesn't match the words.
Yeah, we would approach them about that, after approval, and that kind of thing.
Okay, any other questions or comments from the board at this point?
Can I ask one more quick thing? So when I go on the side of the plaza there, the existing road that's there, there are parking spots already there. Are those utilized in this plan? I'm looking at it, but can't quite see.
Yes, they are part of the plan and they will be utilized by the new building.
I know the next plaza over uses those parking.
I'm sorry. Okay. The applicant will answer.
The general gist of this particular building is to be uniform with the building next door. We call that Shops on Colorado, and this is a Shops on Colorado annex. And the idea is to have all the Shops on Colorado, when it's all said and done, kind of three buildings have always been there together. And so the idea would be that the two plazas would kind of commingle together. So yeah, there is a parking along the street there that the Shops on Colorado uses, which is your existing building per se. And we own that building also. And so we would intend on having the parking kind of flow. So both buildings could use both sides of the road.
Understood.
Mr. Chair, are we going to have a presentation by the applicant?
Yes, we will have one. I just wanted to see if there were any questions for the staff, and then we were going to go to that.
I had another question too. So Miss Barnes, who lives there, mentioned the owner of the pond adjacent to the lot. When the rain gets high, he drains his water into this area. Is he aware of all this is going on and how it's going to affect his overflow and his flooding issues? It just seems like a lot of water gets into the lot that I don't understand how that's all going to be accounted for with between the fill and the concrete and everything else.
I think that probably that's a question that the engineer for the applicant would have to answer. So consequently, why don't we just go to the presentation from the applicant, and then we can ask questions of everyone and everybody will be introduced to that. Does that sound good to the board?
Sounds good.
Yes.
Okay, let's go ahead and take a presentation from the applicant, please.
And if I could chime in, just so you guys know,
Yes.
if anybody has a TV on in the background, there's a lot of distractions and noises that are causing feedback for the people on Zoom. So if you have stuff on the background, please try and keep it down, or don't rattle papers around your microphone. You'll notice your box where your picture is will get a yellow around it when you're causing distraction.
So no yellow.
I'm fine. Nathan Ritchie's got yellow, got green.
Okay, could we have the applicant do their presentation now, please? Thank you, Mike.
Sure. Again, I'm Kristen Brown, St. Glassard Associates. Like I said before, we were kind of going for a uniform approach with this particular project, Shops on Colorado. It's a unique piece because you do have.
And can we, excuse me, can we get that up on our screens, please?
What?
I don't have a particular presentation this
Oh,
afternoon.
you don't? Okay.
I'm sorry. I did provide the renderings, so I'll just refer to the renderings if that's all right. Anyway, it's a unique piece because, yes, the city of Stewart has the bridge over Fraser Creek there, and also some utility easements that are going to be on the south side of the building. So you'll notice that the building doesn't go all the way over to the private drive that's there, and that's because there's some storm water and water service that comes through there, generally around where we put the sign for the plaza itself. So we can't put anything over that area. And for the same respect, the variance we're asking for the parking and the view from the road, generally you want the parking in the back of the building, and there is some to the side and around the back. We're trying to utilize as much parking as possible to eliminate any need for parking or any street parking. And we did have our landscape architect add a lot more landscaping to that area to try to block the parking from the view. But again, you've got a utility easement there that we don't want to put trees over because you don't want any problems with that. As far as retention goes, I let our engineer talk about that. But we did do a bio retention area in there also. You've got the main retention area, which is going to be kind of a walled area that holds water. But there's a bio retention area that we added also to add a lot of interest along that street side also. And I think that is about it for my comments, unless you have any questions.
Okay, it did, I believe there was a question earlier regarding the stormwater and the pond next door and all of that. Do you have an answer to how that was accounted for, that situation?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, board members. My name is Bill Mathers, Mathers Engineering, and we've been doing the project since day one. As far as the stormwater, the buildings that were built there a number of years ago, surrounding it, they had dumped some of their drains does go into the area. What we're doing is that if you put up the site plan, if you look at the top of the site plan, you'll see there's a road, entrance road, just to the left, my left-hand side. Right about in that area, there's a stormwater pipe that comes over from the control structure, and then it was dumped into this area. Now that structure was designed with the building just to the south of it, and that comes off concrete, exfiltration trenches, and there's an overflow rear of it. There's no bleeder, so the only way water gets out of there is for a major storm that will go over that. That is being tied into our drainage system, so that any overflow is going to go through our system. The other one is to come down halfway down that road. There's a inlet just off the edge of the pavement into the grass. It's actually in where the new utility easements are. That has a culvert that directly ties into that low spot that exists. That culvert is being tied into the drainage system. There is a berm between the edge of the existing parking lot that we'll be utilizing for overflow. So that is tied in. The only other connection is at the bottom of that pavement to the left-hand side. There is a connection there that comes across the street into the low area currently existing. That takes an overflow from behind the office building that you see. There's landscaping areas and stuff. That water is also being directed. We'll be taking that into our drainage system. As far as the existing large pond, as far as I know, there's no direct connection from this piece to the other. When it fills, it will actually go down the roadway. That's on the south side of this piece. That's the bottom of the site plan. it will overflow that and it heads down to the street out front. So that's kind of the crux of the issues with the current system. And, what we've done is those gray spots on your plan, that's all pervious concrete. The purpose of it is that the pervious concrete has quite a bit of stone underneath it. That'll absorb the water. The piece just north of the building at the top of the map that's gray, that piece is lower than the street that's to the left. All right. The purpose of that is to take any flood or anything so we don't pond up into the creek. Also from we're lower than the surrounding property, closer to the mainly to the office building to the left, west side. So the gray areas are pervious concrete, water is directed to them. They will absorb the water. What's not shown exactly, there is some exfiltration in other drainage systems that will store the water. The section that was alluded to is between the road on the bottom and there's two gray areas. In that area is what we call is basically, if anybody's seen it, I've seen a few of them. It's more like a rock garden, Orlando, some of the areas they've been doing this now instead of putting just a sod in between. They actually put a system of stone interface, also with some plantings that will take the type of temporary ponding in those areas. So they act as a, I call them rock gardens, you call them rain gardens. It's more like an aesthetic piece to it. It does allow us to take the flood waters that occur and allow them to transfer around the property. So it's equalized. But that would be temporary. Major storms that may be there a day, but it's not going to be ponded there on every day. The front piece of the building, on the right-hand side, that's Colorado. You see that dotted line? That's a large utility that there's water and sewer from the county, city utilities. That's going to remain pretty much the way it is as far as existing grade. They've got also they have a lot of fittings down there, gate valves and stuff. So we're not changing the exact grade of it, which means it'll be lower than road, lower than building, and water can overflow into that and on. So basically, the system's on site, and as far as there's no water directly going into the creek, several reasons. One is the discharge into the creek. The Corps has already given us exemption to allow us to occupy the area, interfering with the creek. The South Florida and the environmental systems some time ago verified everything was, and part of the 20-foot setback is the buffer zone that they require to place the project. As far as the project being that close to it, what will happen is, first along the parking lot to the north side for this concrete, that's walled off. We're having just like a seawall so that water goes straight down and doesn't overflow the creek. The building itself, once they finish the plan, my understanding would be like a skin wall. So there's no water going to transfer back and forth to the creek. All the discharges from the roof drains go out to the previous concrete, and there's no direct discharge into it. Now what happens is that pond to the south we're talking about there, project, when that overflows, it will go down into the street. That will then fall around and then go north up to the page. It'll actually go into the drains that are currently about where the entrance of Colorado comes into the project. You see where the sidewalk is. Right at that, by that point, they've got city stewards got drains go directly. So major flooding and stuff that will be routed in that area. And the other thing is that when you look at the building frontage, is you'll notice that there's a sidewalk where it bends, and that head wall that's there going underneath the creek actually comes believe, I can't think of anything else to say. I'm glad to answer questions.
Okay, thank you. Did that answer your question, or does anyone else have any more questions for staff or for the applicant? No additional questions. I have, let me just verify that all of the shaded area on there, the dark shading is going to be pervious concrete. And Bill, are you doing any specific, there's a specific like head wall that's going to keep water from going into Fraser Creek unless it's been somehow treated. Is that correct?
That's correct. There is a head wall west. We have a curb section around the pervious concrete. In addition, there is a wall that will be built, and that wall is going to be more or less like the seawall, so that it goes down below the ground, so that even water going through the pervious concrete and stone will go into the groundwater and not directly overflow or cause any erosion of the creek.
Okay, anyone else? Oh, I think that Pete has a question.
Mr. Wilson wants to say something?
Yes.
He does. He cannot find his raising hand button. I don't know if it's, I mean, I have no problem with this development. What I'm having a problem with is the Zoom. There's a lot of feedback. Bill Mathers took us through a whole description of where this water is going to go. I got to tell you, there's no replacement for Bill Mathers standing there with a pointer on this diagram showing us where he suspects the water flow is going to go. I found it, the audio was very broken up, and that it was very difficult to understand what Bill was trying to show. I have full faith, knowing Bill for 40 years, he's going to make sure the water is good. But I got to tell you, the way it's going right now on the description, nothing beats somebody pointing at a diagram and showing you. And that's kind of what I expected out of this, that we would see the presenter and the wall in City Hall showing us on these things. One of the problems I have at this moment is that Jordan's load up on the agenda would not load on any of my devices. And so I couldn't print any of it. And that's my fault. But that's my comment on the presentation.
Okay. Any other comments or questions, additional questions?
Mr. Chair, before we
Yes.
discuss this, should we hear any public comment there is?
Yes, we will.
I think that would be better, since I do think there'll be at least one.
Okay, do you want to make a motion for discussion, and then we would go to public comment, and then we wouldn't have to do it twice?
That's actually how you're supposed to do it.
Right.
I'll make a motion for discussion only.
Okay, is there a second for discussion?
Second.
And the motion, what is the motion?
Make a motion that we discuss this after we hear public comment.
All right. Okay, I think that we're supposed to have a motion on the project and then go to public comment on it, or we can have public comment twice. It's fine with me.
It's up to the chair, but realistically, there's no need for public comment unless there's a motion to approve, because it dies for lack of a motion. So there's no public comment necessary.
Right. So is there a motion to approve? Mr. Wilson?
I move approval of 55-2020.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, now we'll discuss it. And now could we go to public comment, please?
Mr. Chair, I have none in the room and none on Zoom and no one at Flagler Center.
Okay, so we have no public comment, so it's at the discretion of the board
Mr. Chair, Tracy Barnes has raised her hand.
Okay, we can hear from Tracy again.
I'm sorry. Okay, here we go. Hi.
Hi.
I don't see me or anything, but it doesn't matter. Oh, there we go.
We see you.
Hi, see me too. I just, that was the one part I wanted to hear, just like he said about Mr. Mathers. And I'm assuming this is recorded or somewhere where we can hear it, because I have no idea what he said. It was really bad. Other than that, just, same thing, just worried that building on this property will do the stormwater will work just as well as we're building on it. That's the issue. So, and traffic, but they have a traffic thing in the paperwork. I just don't see where it's going to go. So that's really our concerns. I appreciate you letting me talk again.
Okay, thank you. All right, so I see the board. We have is there any other questions while we're having this discussion, or any other? I think Mr. Campenny has his hand up.
Mrs. James also has her hand up.
Okay. Who's first?
Let Ms. James go first.
Okay.
Thank you. I just want to say this may not be in referencing to what the discussion is, but I wanted to agree with Pete. I am having some difficulties at home, and I was out at 4:09. I'm a board member, but I just wanted to let you know I just recently connected again, so I missed a lot of the information. But I do want it for record that I am having some difficulties, and I was just able to remotely come back in.
Okay, well, we had a question, just to let you know what occurred. There was a question regarding the stormwater, and Mr. Mathers came on and discussed in great detail how his plan addressed the stormwater concerns and how it was going to protect the Fraser Creek. And I guess I heard and understood what he was saying, but there were other people who didn't. Would it be the pleasure of the board to have him give a very brief synopsis of what he said before, and have a pointer to point at the map and show what he was talking about? If that's what we would like to do, then maybe we could ask him to do that, and he could do a brief, not as detailed, but a brief synopsis of what it was that he showed us before. Does anybody want that or not?
Mr.
Needed it.
Well, I'm fine. I got the gist of what he was saying, and frankly, your question, Nathan, clarified it when you went through the head wall in the Fraser Creek, or maybe it was Christina. I think it's up to Faye. I think Faye basically, he described where all the water was going to go, and without physically seeing him, it was very difficult to understand. I think I'm fine with it, because I know Bill Mathers for 40 years. I know he's going to design this thing. And I know staff. Staff is not going to allow that water to mess around unless it's designed perfectly.
Okay, so are we to vote as a board? Because I can agree that we're both voting on that right now. I trust Mr. Mathers. I know him as well. I've met him. I've served with him on the LPA, but I just missed a whole lot of it. So I wasn't sure what was happening if we're in the process of voting as a board.
Don't worry, Faye. A lot of it was not understandable.
Yeah. We have a motion and a second.
Chair.
County attorney, or city attorney, I mean.
Mr. Chair, hold on.
Your mute's on, Mike.
Ms. James, for the sake of your concern, I know that you missed a part of the meeting, but regularly board members have to take a phone call or go to the bathroom or other things and do miss parts of the meeting. So it's totally appropriate for you to vote as long as you feel comfortable voting and feel like you've heard enough of it to vote.
Okay.
I mean, otherwise we could declare you as absent and you'd have to stop participating.
No, I just was having some technical difficulties here. I couldn't hear. And I just wanted to make sure I was up to where we are as a board. Are we voting? As I said before, I am familiar with Mr. Mathers, is it? His name?
Mather.
Yeah, Billy.
From I'm not sure, but I do feel comfortable with my board members that their judgment, however they're voting, I am okay to vote along with that, even though I missed a major portion of it.
Okay, good. Then we're good to
All
go.
right.
Okay. Before we vote, can I say a few words?
Yes.
Okay. I've got a couple of concerns, not enough to not vote yes, but a couple of concerns. One, I do think there could be a problem with stormwater, knowing that neighborhood behind there. That place floods regularly. So I do have a concern. I'm hoping it doesn't, but I do have that concern. And another concern I have is on Colorado, we were supposed to be building the urban center. We haven't been doing that. And while this is a nice building and it doesn't really bring us into an urban setting. And Colorado was supposed to be an urban setting. And all we've approved for years now in Colorado is one-story buildings. And while that apparently is what the market is, it wasn't the vision of Colorado. So I'm a little hesitant. Maybe we should change that vision in the plan. But if we continue to do this, then for the next years, that will be a suburban street. And that is a concern of mine also. Thank you.
Okay. Did someone else want to speak? I see
Mr.
that.
Walton has his hand up.
Yep.
Yep. Tom, I understand your concern. I was on the city commission during those years when we approved the Dwani plan, where we had all these beautiful balconies and verandas and everything else. I don't know that a lot of that is practical anymore. It was a great vision for East Ocean, West Ocean Boulevard, for example. There were visions for Colorado. There were visions for Osceola. And over the years, I don't know that we've actually reconsidered those visions. We have just the city commission has just altered what they are looking at. So what you're looking for is a bring back to an urban center. Is that correct?
Well, I mean, that is what is on the books per se, and we're not really following it, and not just with this project, but with all of Colorado. And so maybe it's time to look at changing the vision so that we don't need, because if tomorrow, say, somebody wanted to build a 3-story building on Colorado, it probably wouldn't look very good with the surrounding buildings, right? Because everything has been single story. So maybe it's just time we readdress this in a more holistic setting. If we're not going to build what is in the plan. And that's why I'm not saying we should approve this. I'm just saying, in general, we shouldn't continue to say the same thing over and over and have the same thing on our books over and over, and yet deviate from it every time a project comes in. So I just wanted to bring that to the board's attention.
Okay. Any other comments?
Mr. Walson?
Just quickly, Frank, Tom, I agree with you. I think your point is very well taken. The city commission long ago needs to address, are we Dwaniizing or are we not? Do we still have stuff in there that no longer applies? or is impractical. And you're right, it is the vision of the city commission actually to either follow what they believe in or readdress what vision they do have. Thank you, Tom.
And you're right, Pete, because we were also supposed to be talking about along Federal Highway. That was about a year ago, I think. At this point, we were going to address what we were going to do on Federal Highway as a board to send it to the commission, and we still haven't done that. So I think there's a lot that we should be doing to have a more visionary effect.
Okay, can we have a roll call?
Are you chair?
Well, I want to just comment on you guys' comments. I think part of the problem with Colorado has been, and I agree with what you're saying, is that there's a bunch of already one-story buildings that are there, and it creates a problem of tear down and do it and stuff. So I understand what you're saying, and I think that probably would be a good idea. So is any other questions, or we'll go for a call the question? Are we ready to call the question? Okay, call the question. Roll call, please.
Chairman Waka,
Yes.
Vice Chair Ritchie,
Yes.
Board Member Campaign,
Yes.
Board Member James,
Yes.
Board Member Lewis,
Yes.
Board Member Maldonado,
No.
Board Member Walton.
Yes.
Okay, the motion passed. Thank you all. Thank you to the applicant and to the staff. The next item on the agenda is resolution number 532020, River House Public Art Proposal. And do we have a presentation on that?
Mr. Chair, Tom Reitz, Senior Planner. I'm here to present the public art proposal.
Okay.
I gotta find it first.
As soon as we can pull it up, we'll be right with you.
Is that the River House Public Art?
Yeah.
You want me to read it? Can you hear me?
Please.
This is resolution 53-2020, a resolution of the Community Redevelopment Board of the City of Stuart, Florida, granting a minor urban code conditional use approval for public artwork required as a condition of development for the River House RPUD, owner of the property located at 43 and 55 Southeast Seminole Street in the City of Stuart, as described within the attached legal description, granting approval to locate out of the channel #1 limited edition bronze sculpture of 3 pelicans on a pedestal by Jeffrey Smith, the front of the project, providing an effective date, providing for conditions of approval, and for other purposes.
Thank you. Tom?
Good afternoon, Board. Tom Reitz again with the City of Stuart, Senior. Can you hear me? I want to make sure this mic is working.
Yeah, I'm going to go to 5:15, and then if I can get away, and this is the one I need.
Mr. Chair, if you don't mind, I'm going to mute all of the board members.
Yes, that'd be good.
Okay, so I'm going to speak loud. It doesn't sound like the microphone is working too well. The River House is located on Southeast Seminole Street. I think you're all familiar with the 20 luxury condo units that are being built. There's a 3-story building on the water and then 2 2-story buildings along Seminole Street. And this is an aerial of the location of the project. It's just west of Detroit Avenue, actually just west of Denver Avenue, on the north side of Seminole Street, the waterfront. So this is a blow up in large detail of Building C, where the proposed artist, being proposed as far as the location. It's within a landscaped area. It is in front, or more or less in between the two 2-story buildings, and it will have opportunity for good location to be viewed by the public.
So this is a life-size size. Basically, you get the size of the statue sculpture. You can see that it is life-size, if not more than life-size. The artist is here today to comment on his work, and I'll let him talk more about it as far as that's concerned. I will say that the applicant was only required to pay for and fund a $75,000 piece of work, sculpture, and this is coming in at about $125,000, which is considerably more than the 1% of vertical construction. As you know, part of our review is that we route the proposal to the Martin County Arts Council. Nancy Terrell has reviewed the project or the proposal and has given us a letter that basically says that it's a good size, it's in a good location, and respects the artist and his work. So this is the criteria that you'll be judging the proposal on, and I'm not going to read through it, but I think you all have, and it is in your packet. With that, staff recommends approval of the Jeffrey Smith bronze statue. As I mentioned, the artist is here, and I'll let him speak more about the specifics of the statue and how he is making it or has made it already.
Jeffrey Smith, 5560 Southeast Miles Grant Road, Stuart, Florida. The Pelicans, it's a beautiful sculpture. This is an existing piece. It is at my studio. It's about 8 feet tall. The birds are actually life and a half size. So it'll have a, when it's outside, it won't, it'll appear to be a good sized piece. I think it'll fit the area very well. I think it's a great fit. It's a wonderful piece. Any questions you have?
Mr. Chair, I'll move approval.
Is there, okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
And I gotta unmute everybody.
Okay.
What, I can't see.
Mr. Ritchie has his hand up.
Mr. Ritchie.
You okay?
You're breaking up, Nathan.
No, that's Pete Walson's background.
Something in the background.
Okay, try now, Nathan.
My question is, I cannot, I'm looking at the site plan here, and I don't have a very good visual of where the actual sculpture is going to go. Is it inside of the property in between their buildings? I'm looking at that.
Right, okay, so building C is.
Well, he can't see it. He can't see that yet.
Can you see it on the?
No.
On this?
No.
Do you have the larger site plan in our packet? There was a larger site plan. Can you bring that up, Tom?
But I do see building C for what it's worth.
Well, I don't have a larger. I don't
Okay.
know what I can show you, but I can tell you that building C is the most eastern building on Summerall Street.
I was there this.
E is the most western building on Summerall Street, and it's in front of building C, sort of in between the two buildings.
So excuse me.
This helps.
But before we go into more discussion, Tom, Campenny had made a motion. Is there a second for that motion? And then we'll continue.
Nathan Ritchie had seconded the motion.
Okay.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. That was the one before. I take that back.
Yeah. Is there a second for the motion?
I'll second it.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. So go ahead. Sorry, I just wanted to make sure we were on track there, Nathan.
If there's a motion second, then my question is moot.
Ms. James?
Well, no, we're in discussion right now.
No, that makes discussion.
I just want to know where it is. Is it on the property or is it on the street?
Can you point onto the map that we see right there on the screen? Is that on your wall, the River House Public Art? Is that on your screen? Can you shoot a...
I can see it. And I
Right.
can see that. I can see the sign there. So is it right there where that sign is?
Yeah, it's basically.
Yes.
Property.
On Seminole?
You can see it from Seminole, yes.
Okay, great. That's all I wanted to know. Fantastic. I like it.
Ms. James has her hand raised.
No, I don't. I was just,
No, Ms. James. Ms. James.
oh,
Yeah, I'm not sure, it was kind of choppy again, but did I miss where the funds are coming from for this project, this proposed art project?
It's- We're having a difficult time hearing you, but if I understand, you were wondering about the location of the project, and I believe if you're looking at this picture, it's on Seminole, and it's approximately where that sign is.
My question was, I saw the budget or the cost for the project, and I wasn't sure where the money for the project comes from. How is it being funded?
It comes from the applicant.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if we were voting on giving some money or something.
No, ma'am.
The code requires that they spend 1% of their construction cost on public art. 1% of their cost was $75,000, but they've gone ahead and agreed to spend $125,000 on their public art.
Okay. All right, that's what I wasn't clear about. I didn't hear everything. It's still choppy. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Do we have any?
Mr. Walton has his hand raised.
Okay, Mr. Wilson.
Is there any landscaping around the statue, or is there a base? Is it just going to sit there by itself, or?
It sits on a base. I'll let Jeffrey tell you a little bit more about the base, but in general, landscape.
Oh, yeah, I don't recall exactly how high, but I'm thinking it's, I'm thinking it's probably 2 feet, 30 inches high. But it's got, they have a big pedestal made for it. And it'll be very accessible from Seminole Street. I think that was the other, as well as, you know, all the occupants of the building.
Here we have a hand raised from the public.
Okay, let's go to the public.
Hi, I'm not sure if you all can see me.
Yes, we can.
Hi, my name's Aaron Hollub. I'm the developer. I'm the applicant for the project. I wasn't sure if there was a more specific question about the base or what we're doing around the artwork, but I'm happy to take your questions. I just wanted you all to know that I'm here.
Well, can you shed some light on that? Because that was a question.
Yeah, sure. So we are putting the piece on a base. I believe that the base shows on the architectural plan that we submitted along with our application. We expect the base will be wrapped in a stone cladding. Exactly what kind of material, not sure yet, but it'll be something that fits, you know, the style of the rest of the project. and the stone cladding that we already have installed on the project. Yes, there will be landscaping, specifically what we're not sure yet. We do want to wait a little bit until we see what it all kind of looks like when it's installed, but there will be landscaping, there will be lighting that we're bringing out to it. So it will be illuminated. We really fell in love with the piece, which is part of the reason why we're spending more than what we need to spend. We've really gotten to know Jeffrey really well and love his work and what he's done for the city. So, my family and I are big supporters of the arts and different communities that we work in. And so this was just part of that process for us. And we're excited to have this piece on the property.
All right, thank you. Any other questions from the board or comments? Can we get the switch to where we can all see each other again, please? Yep, thank you. Any comments from the board? We have a motion and a second at this point. We have heard our public comments. I want to say I walk down Seminole all the time, and I think it's going to be great to see that particular thing right there. It's going to be really nice. It'll be a nice addition. All right.
I just want you to know that Jeffrey's statue that I donated to the city, it was in front of the other Colorado building we owned earlier. So I'm a very, very big fan of Mr. Smith. And so I think we do a lot of good work when we support a very famous local artist.
True. All right, let's call the question.
Hand raised.
Oh, go ahead.
I just said one. I was going to say, I like the idea that this is just for actually general comment on any future arts things, is the accessibility of it next to the street. And the fact that it will be attractive. When we do this kind of thing, I really think that we're doing it for public, and we need to make sure that it actually is accessible to the public by being on the street or on the sidewalk, or have some kind of draw to it. And this is a wonderful piece. Thank you.
Okay, can we call the question now? Is that good? All right, let's call the question, please.
Board Member Walton,
Yes.
Board Member Maldonado,
Yes.
Board Member Lewis,
Yes.
Board Member James,
Yes.
Board Member Campenny,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Ritchie,
Yes.
Chairman Waka.
Yes. Thank you. It's a beautiful piece. Thanks for everybody on Seminole should like that. The next item is one that I will not be participating in. Should I turn this over to the vice chairman, or can I run the meeting, city attorney, or how should I handle this? I'll be bringing my form in before the next meeting.
It's your discretion, but you're not supposed to advocate for the project, so it's probably easier to pass the gavel.
I'm going to pass the gavel to Vice Chairman, Mr. Ritchie.
Okay, and I will read the ordinance. It's ordinance number 2438-2020, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Stuart, Florida, approving a minor amendment to the new Avonlea Planned Unit Development, thereby amending exhibit number 11 of the new Avonlea PUD, entitled the Off-Site Infrastructure Plan by HJA Design Studio, amending the condition number 25 accordingly, providing an effective date, and for other purposes. I also don't know, I know that the title mentions that it's by HJA Design Studio. I do know that that occurred back in like 2013 or 14. There's been significant amendments to it, so I don't know if the HJA Design Studio is still tied to it or not. But in any event, Mr. Ritchie is muted. He needs to be unmuted and process the item.
Apologize, I was waiting for the chair. He's ready.
Am I unmuted now? So can I ask you, I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time catching up with the pages. There's a lot on the sculpture. What page are we on? I'm on page 144.
When I go on the website, it's just the link. It says, mine says 3 on the top and.
My agenda.
Yeah, I just click through the agenda item to go to the pages.
I'm trying to do the same thing.
By the way, for this, while you're looking, you can just ask Steve Mayer to begin his presentation.
Page 145.
Steve.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, page 145, I believe, is where it is in the agenda.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Steve Mayer, for the record, the amendment is related. This is a minor PUD amendment to the New Avonlea PUD. It's also a related item is next on the agenda, but I'll go through this one first. This is an amendment to specifically exhibit number 11 of the New Avonlea PUD, which is entitled the Off-Site Infrastructure Plan. And it says by HJ Design Studio because that's the only marker on it on the plan of who it's by. It is amending that and also amending the condition number 25 accordingly because there are some details of condition of the plan that's being amended.
You want to use a?
Oh,
sure.
Oh, thank you. The applicant request is to amend the original off-site infrastructure plan, which was adopted in 2014 and amended a few times for different parcels over the years. It is in order to update the improvements and fully vet which parcels are responsible for which areas of the improvement. The request is for the entire PUD, mind you. It's not just for one parcel, for all of the parcels. The request is to remove a side. Part of the request is to remove a sidewalk connection and a mid-lot crossing on the south side of Baker Road, which is in between Cardinal and Green River Parkway, and specifically also east of parcel 12. So the sidewalk on the south side of the road adjacent to parcel 12 remains, but it's a portion of the sidewalk connection east of it's west of parcel 12. I apologize for that. It's west of parcel 12 on the south side of Baker. The applicant will explain fully the justification of the removal of that sidewalk and the engineering constraints there. There's also some added minor changes, such as a crosswalk along Green River Parkway and in 2 locations. Also adding pages with street furniture and other features. There's some minor modifications. One of the images is being updated to reflect the actual type of signage or features that are identification features, and it's updating the actual appearance of that image. This is the original plan. You can see on the plan, I'm not sure you can see my green circle, but this is some of the images that we're talking about, the identification features. One of those is being updated to reflect one of the identification features that are actually going to be coming in. And this is a sidewalk that on the current plan that is being moved right from this section here to here. One of the other additions that you'll see on the new plan, and it's not on this original plan, is that it doesn't show where there will be an overlook proposed on parcel 12, and that is another addition to the plan. You'll also notice that the original plan doesn't have which phases, or well, actually it mentions phases, but which parcels are responsible for which improvements. And that's something that, since we've had a couple of those parcels come in and there's been confusion over what is phase 1 and what's going to be phase 2, we decided to request, the staff has requested this, and the applicant has been forthright in providing us a new plan, which then creates zones of responsibility. So when a parcel comes in, we know exactly which offsite improvements are going to be theirs to complete or make sure that it is complete by that time. The original plan also had some cross sections by HJ Design Studio that shows conceptually some of the dimensions that might be across the mid-block crossing, for instance, the engineering of such, you would have to have in the final, if we're going to need lighting, for instance. That is something that's in the details, but this is a good conceptual plan to show us what these cross sections would look like. And one of the things to note is, the 8-foot sidewalks are there, and we have street furniture, and the type of paving that you would see in terms of where you would have the parking and the crosswalk and the dedication of a bike lane as well. So the proposed plan is now on the screen, and it shows in color the different types of phase, the different types of that we're phasing, the different areas of control, of zoning, whatever you want to call that. These zones are then overlapping where you might see the off-site infrastructure. So this parcel 1 would be responsible for the area here. Now that might be existing, and it actually is, but that's where before we see parcel 1 come in, staff's gonna make sure that that's there. And so that's one of the main functions of this new plan. You'll see on the bottom that this is the updated image of the identification feature. These other images are going to be completed, but there is another page with some of those images. So when they actually go from concept to reality, I believe we'll fill those in. Another thing that might be in those images are some of the art that we might improve as well. One of the things we would like to see is some continuity of the PUD, so that there's that some of the identification features have some sort of continuous theme.
Steve, point out the correct location of the observation deck.
Yes. Thanks, sir. So this is the location on the proposed plan that you've seen in your agenda packet. It should be located right there. And we'll have an updated plan.
And that yellow feature that you highlighted is actually one of those identity features.
Okay, so that's an identification feature. Is this?
There's 2 of them.
Oh, yeah, there's 2 of them. Yeah. So these are actually identification features, locations, and there would be a area right there for the overlay. Very good. And you'll notice a blue line. That blue line actually sorts out where the Martin County utilities parcels that are in the Martin County utilities would be in here, and the Stewart utilities would be to the south of that line. We had requested that to be on the plan as well. The plan continues with the streetscape design. This is unchanged from the original. Then the 2 new pages are for streetscape furnishing details, which includes lighting, benches, and also bike racks and trash cans and the like. And finally, you can see some of those water features that are conceptualized in nature are on that site details page 4. Very briefly, the condition number 25 is being modified slightly to show that it's sheet 1 through 4, and removal of the previous reference. So staff recommends motion to approve the ordinance to move forward to City Commission for first reading on May 26th. And the applicant is here to speak to their presentation. If they can also speak about the removal of the sidewalk, I appreciate that. Thank
you. Great, thank you. So now I guess we're going to hear from the applicant. If you could step up.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify a couple things that Steve touched on.
Can you state your name for the record, please?
Nick Schroth with STB Outdoors, owner of parcel 21213. The sidewalk that Steve referenced we're removing runs along the south side of Baker Road here. And if you've ever driven out that way, you'll notice that the road is kind of loaded to the south side of the right-of-way there, meaning that the actual pavement is not centered in the right-of-way, but rather set to the south. And then along the north side, there's a healthy landscape area, an 8-foot sidewalk, and then even more landscaping before you get to the property line. the challenge that we realized as we started engineering parcels 2 and 12 for development of townhomes is that that sidewalk that runs along the south side of the road gets very close to this wetland area, and the grades get very steep, and it becomes a challenge. If you go back to this original plan, there was even a more original plan than this that had originally shown an observation deck that actually went out into this wetland here. So what we're asking the board to approve is a plan that allows us to avoid the engineering juggernaut of this sidewalk, but brings back an observation deck feature on our property. The reason that observation deck was removed over time was because South Florida Water Management doesn't actually allow any kind of structure to be constructed in this area because it's under a conservation easement. So the trade-off for eliminating the sidewalk was to bring back the observation deck. The concern of being able to access, the concern of pedestrian connectivity through the project is not compromised, since the sidewalk runs along the north side. We have a crossing here that gets to the south side at a point where development will occur. In addition, there's a sidewalk that continues along the north side. This south side sidewalk connects all the way down, ultimately putting you on Dixie Highway there. So eliminating the sidewalk does not compromise the connectivity through the project. The observation deck brings back a feature that we can place into the project to improve the appeal of it. And then we also added a crosswalk down here at Green River Parkway. It was just felt that there needed to be some connectivity there, and this was the opportunity to do that. As Steve mentioned, this also assigns some responsibility to individual parcels within the PUD, so that as somebody comes in, they understand where their responsibilities lie. The Avonlea project goes back a number of years and has some split ownership. So this is a viable way for everybody to create this infrastructure offsite that ends in a cohesive project. So if y'all have any questions for me, I'm happy to answer.
Okay, thank you. Should I ask for at this point, or should I ask for public comment?
Your discretion.
Fantastic.
Normally you would ask for a motion from the board, and if there was no motion, there's no need for public comment.
I'll move approval, subject to discussion.
That was Mr. Campenny.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Do we have a second?
I'll second approval so we can go to a discussion.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. We've got a motion and a second. The second's for. And do we have a? I can't see.
Your question cut out, Nathan.
I'm sorry. Do we have any public?
No, so there's no public comment.
Would anybody like to discuss this any further here on the board?
I just want to make a observation. This was approved 12, 13, 14 years ago originally. And what the city should have done back then is made the developer responsible for all of the improvements at that point, and not do it this way. It's done this way, so I think we should approve it, move on. But this is just nuts the way we do things. Isn't that what a developer is supposed to do? Develop the property so that someone can come in and build on it, whether it's 12 different builders or 2 different builders or 1 different builder. But a developer is someone that develops the property. And so the way we do things just invites never-ending problems. So, I mean, of course, we're going to vote for it. It's not fair not to at this point. But the way Stewart does things is just completely opposite of the way it should be done.
Mr. Walson has his hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I wanted to congratulate the developer actually on the streetscape. I know that we did it differently and there were credits involved, but I'm very pleased to see that there are benches and facilities for the public as they walk in order to be able to stop at their development. I'm looking forward to seeing the things start to kind of build out. And I move approval.
We've already moved and seconded, Mr. Wilson.
I guess I was in the bathroom.
Should have brought the phone with you.
No.
Might be too. That's way too personal, Nate.
I think the vice chairman might be frozen.
Oh, there he is.
There he is.
He's muted though. There he goes.
Come on, Michael.
Is everybody still there?
Yep.
Gotcha.
We see your
All
chair.
right. Sorry about that. My power went out.
Oh.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
We got you, man.
Still in discussion.
Sorry about that. Thank you.
So we ready to vote on this?
I think we are. Yes. I'm sorry. I thought you said you were still discussing.
Can I just have clarification for the second, because it cut out on this end?
Who was the second?
I second it.
Chris Lewis was, Mr. Compenny was the first.
Thank you.
So let's have a roll call.
Board Member James?
Yes.
Board Member Campenny?
Yes.
Vice Chair Ritchie?
Yes.
Board Member Maldonado?
Yes.
Board Member Walson?
Yes.
And Board Member Lewis?
Yes.
And Mr. Walker abstains.
Yes.
It's not enough.
Okay. Very much. I think I can turn this back over to our chair now.
Correct.
Is Mr. Walker on the other one?
Mr. Walson, you had
He's
your
got a conflict on the next one.
I think there's a conflict still. Yeah.
Okay.
You're still up. You're still up there, senor.
I'll be happy to read the next one. It is resolution number 04-2020 CRA, a resolution of the Community Redevelopment Agency of the City of Stuart, Florida, authorizing the chairperson to execute the first amendment to the agreement between the Stuart Community Redevelopment Agency and Avenlua Improvement Company, LLC, providing for the allocation of tax increment funds generated from the increase in property value to the tax parcels within the new Avenlua PUD, providing an effective date and for other purposes.
Okay.
I think Pinnell was handling that.
Now, do you have a explanation for it?
Yes, Kunal Gandhi Savda, CRA Administrator for the record. So this is the first amendment to the new Avonlea Real Estate Development Accelerator Program agreement. I'm going to refer to it as a VEDA agreement. This is related to the presentation that you just heard from Steve regarding the offsite improvements plan that you just approved. Since we have some new members, I do want to give a little brief background about the program and how it was implemented for this project. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
So, I'm sorry, Laura, can you see the screen? The REDA agreement was adopted by resolution number 06-2018 in July 2018. The program was created to motivate and encourage our developers to expedite the timing of the development in the CRA, which not only results in economic benefit for the CRA, but also start generating TIF revenue so we can reinvest back into the community. The program was created in consistency with the goals and objectives of the CRA plan. We implemented the program, and the REDA agreement for the new Avonlea project was approved by resolution 01-2018 in August 2018. The new Avonlea PUD it consists of multiple parcels, as you saw in the last presentation. It has CPUD and RPD zoning on those parcels. And it does have an off-site improvement to provide consistency of improvements throughout the project area. So it has the same look and feel as you're in the neighborhood, so you know you're in Avenida. Again, just a quick background of our new members. In order to qualify or be eligible for the program, there are criteria you have to meet. This particular project met 3 or more of this criteria. It has a vacant and underutilized parcels for a very long time. It's also going to provide housing options within the CRA and city limits. It has off-site improvements that will benefit the public and provide the overall aesthetic improvement to the area. So they met 3 or more of these criteria. So they qualified to receive up to 50% of the TIF revenue that would generate from the project itself. So there's nothing that the CRA would pay upfront. It would all come from the project. And we would pay up to 5 years. So we looked at the length of time that the project has gone undeveloped, and that's lots of TIF revenue for the CRA and the city. Projects has not moved forward, as you heard, for the last 15, 20 years. And there are other expenses related to the project, such as the offsite improvements, that has slowed down this development of the project. So after evaluating the project, the board approved the agreement to share 50% of the TIF revenue that would generate from the project itself to offset the offsite improvements that would also have public benefit. So this is the original plan that was approved. In the original REDA agreement, the offsite improvements were to be completed in 2 phases. The first phase, as you see here, is shown in green. That was to be completed in January 2020. And the CRA would share 50% of the revenue that would generate from the development of those adjacent parcels for 5 years. And then phase 2, as you see, is shown in blue. That is to be completed in May 2022. And the CRA would share the tax revenue that would generate from the adjacent parcels to the blue area shown for 5 years. As you can see that the agreement for the first phase has expired. So essentially we have to create a new agreement and create a new timeline for offsite improvements. So this is the offsite improvement that you just approved as part of the last presentation. Now it's color coded so that it's clearly assigns tax parcels financially responsible for associated offsite improvements. The term of the agreement will remain the same, which is 50% of the TIF revenue that would come from the assessed value of the parcel for a 5-year period. And at the end of the 5-year period, the tax parcel will be removed from the calculation, and then the total TIF revenue would go back to the CRA, and then eventually when the city, when the CRA sunsets, it would go to the city. CRA will not be obligated to pay any TIF revenue after May 2039, which means that all the improvements have to be completed by 2032 in order to take benefit of this agreement. So during this time, if the city does complete any portion of the offsite improvements as required in this approved plan, the agreement does have some terms that that the TIF revenue will not be given to the applicant until it's paid back to the city. So for instance, the city did receive TAP grant for sidewalk and crosswalk improvements alongside Dixie Highway and Green River Parkway. So that includes parcel 14 and 15. So we expect that the expense to the city to do that improvements with design, it's about maybe $75,000. So that money would come back to the city before the applicant benefits from the TIF revenue. And then any future amendments to this approved plan would require the applicant to come before the CRB and the CRA board for approval, just like they did for this one. And to give you a better understanding of how this TIF revenue projection will work, I do have the parcel owners for parcel 2 and 12, Nick Schroth, and for parcel 16, Tim Hernandez. They'll show you how the TIF revenue projection will work based on their approved plan and what they estimate the offsite improvements cost to be for their associated parcels. So I'll turn it over to Nick to share that TIF revenue sharing and how it could benefit the CRA.
Mr. Vice Chair, I'd just like to note that I believe Mr. Walson had to leave.
And I'd like to, there we go. Thank you. Never mind. Suddenly you're all back. Great. Can we hear from Mr. Schroeth then?
You want that spreadsheet up?
Yeah, sure thing. Nick Schroeth for the record.
Which spreadsheet?
Yeah, 2 and 12.
2 and 12. 1 second, Mr. Chair.
This worksheet sort of models out how the payout would work to, CRA, or how the increase in taxable value would work. We're currently in for permits to develop parcels 2 and 12 based on our approved site plan. The product, there will be 62 townhome units. The builder of the townhome units is proposed to be J.O. Namian. They built a very nice product. They've actually made some adjustments to make this a little bit more of a Stewart product. They don't have any other projects in this area, and they're really excited about having this project here. So, as I mentioned, this is in for permit right now, and we expect it, next year in 2021, we will be delivering the first of our finished lots to them, and they expect to have sales in 2021. So, I think the coloring is a little bit messed up on this chart, but basically you can see in year 2 where the new assessed value increases, and then year 3 it increases again, and then further in year 4, this is showing the absorption of those 62 units over a relatively conservative period of I think 3 years, and what that taxable value will look like. That taxable value is based on a $250,000 unit. So the revenues to the TIF fund jump up considerably as this parcel is developed. The offsite obligations of the development are detailed in the corner there, and those are all incorporated into our civil plans that we've applied for permits for. So there's 33 offsite parking spots that are street parking spaces. There's 17 street lights. We're constructing a roundabout. There's a lot of landscaping that will go into the common areas. Our total landscape budget is about $300,000. So 75,000 that's shown there is really just an allocation of the offsite. There's about 10,000 square feet of sidewalk. It's 8-foot sidewalk in accordance with what the city is looking for these days in ways of sidewalks. And there's 2 mid-block crossings. So our total offsite improvement cost is roughly $550,000. And in addition to making it's a little heavier ticket than you would have with most projects, but we feel like it'll be worth it. And we have other properties in Avonlea that will benefit from this being done, nice and right. And hopefully we get those permits and we can kick this thing off here in a couple of months. So happy to answer any questions that y'all might have.
We'll have Tim give his presentation for his projection.
Sounds good.
That's parcel 16.
Yes, sir. Tim, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, Nathan, I can hear you. We're good.
All right, go ahead if you'd like to say.
Okay, yeah, could they put the spreadsheet up on the screen so I can see it? Okay, good. All right, so we have the parcel that's located at the southwest corner of Baker Road and Green River Parkway, which is known as parcel 16. On the west side is the Haney Creek Preserve area. And we have, we just received approval in April from the City Commission for this project, which will contain 22 single-family detached homes and 47 townhomes. So the townhomes are a little smaller, I think, than the ones that Nick is doing on 2 and 12. But anyway, so assuming that we get past COVID-19 and we can get going this year on our land development, we will close on the land this year and start doing land development, which will take us, a good chunk of 2021. But we'll hopefully be able to have units started there and getting our first CO in 2021. So then the TIF sharing would not start till 2023, 2 years after the first CO date. So you can see the green highlighted is the area, the period of time where the sharing happens, but the blue periods before and after that is when all the TIF is captured by the CRA. So as you can see, we have approximately, our project, we project will generate about $900,000 of TIF revenue to the CRA over the 10-year period, and about $411,000 to us over that same 10-year period, although it's only going to be paid out over those 5 years between 2023 and 2027, as we project today. So we have a lot of offsite costs related to this project, to this parcel. We're doing a little bit of parking on Baker Road. We're doing a lift station, obviously, because our site now is being disconnected from the rest of Avonlea, and therefore we're going to get our sanitary sewer service from the city of Stewart instead of Martin County. So there's a big number for there, as well as the force main to run from the lift station to the existing force main. There's off-site water connection that we make if we tap into the city's water system. There's also a drainage relocation. There's a big drainage ditch, if you will, swale that runs along the west side of Green River Parkway that has to be relocated through the site, basically down around the bottom of the site. And then we have some sidewalks, an extensive sidewalk system, public sidewalk system. There is an existing sidewalk that's right up against the curb line of Green River Parkway, but we're running a parallel system kind of on the west side of the drainage swale, as well as installing new sidewalks along the south side of Baker Drive, and a crosswalk on Baker Road, and a crosswalk just south of the roundabout at the intersection of Green River and Baker. And then finally, there is extensive landscaping. We're actually putting, we think it's going to be a big landmark for the development. We're going to put royal palms all along Green River Parkway at the top of the drainage area, and we're going to uplight those. So that's going to be quite an artistic element, I think. But when you drive in from downtown towards Avonlea, it's going to be the first thing you see. So we're excited about that element of the project. So as you can see, we're running negative with these, and I didn't even include any kind of gateway, improvement that we have to do as well. But just here alone, we're, these extraordinary costs that we're having to assume are more than the TIF that we're getting by 128,000 or so. So, and obviously you front end a lot of that stuff, and the TIF comes back in later years, which is, from a time value standpoint of money, is better than nothing for sure, and we appreciate it. So that's the summary of parcel 16.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Hernandez while he's up? Anyone? Anyone? No. Okay.
We do have one more spreadsheet to share with you. This is for the overall build out of all the parcels and total offsite improvement costs. Nick will share that with you, and then that should wrap it up for us.
Forward to it.
Yeah, I put this together. Just Tim and I are working on two projects that are currently in process. Tim had site plan approval. We're in for permits. So those are relatively certain as to what is going on in those parcels. But there are a number of other properties in Avonlea. So what this chart shows is just in year 4, it has several other properties coming online in that project. And so that gives an idea of the ultimate benefit to the CRA in showing that, over a 10-year period, provided all the, over a 10-year period, there's about $2.6 million. And at that year 10, presuming the build out of the project, about $620,000 a year in annual TIF funds is generated to the CRA. So those funds would go into the CRA coffers, long after we're gone. So, I just wanted to show a total build out of the project of Avenue as a total. This is far more speculative than the 2 and 12 and the parcel 16 charts that you just looked at, and Tim and I just walked you through, but this chart recognizes some of the other parcels that are out there. And presumption is that once 2 and 12 and 16 get going, these other parcels will find their place and develop alongside them, which is sort of the whole accelerator part of the REAP program.
Okay. You.
So staff is requesting to approve resolution number 04-2020, amending the REDA agreement for the new Avenue project.
Do we have a motion? I don't know that I'm allowed to.
Well, I'll make a motion to approve. Resolution 04-2020 for the CRA.
Do we have a second? I don't know if I'm allowed to second.
You would have to pass the gavel.
I'll second it.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Does anybody want to talk about this further? Any particular questions? Tom, perhaps?
Oh, come on, I've said enough. All I know is we have 12 parcels. What does that actually mean? Can someone explain that to me, how that's going to affect everything? We have 12 parcels, correct?
Right.
And where are all I understand that only 10 are making improvements. How is that going to affect the other 2?
Yeah, I can explain that. There's actually 2 parcels that have already completed their improvements. It's actually 7 parcels maybe that are part of the Avenue Commerce Center, and they're up in the northeast corner of Baker Road and Cardinal Avenue. Those parcels constructed about 20 or 30 on-street parking spots there and sidewalk along Baker and Cardinal a couple of years back. So parcels 8 and 9 are part of this agreement, and those are the parcels that, in essence, constructed those improvements that you can see out there today.
But they're not part of they were constructed before the REDA program existed.
They were constructed after the original REDA program. So the improvements were correct. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody else have any comments or questions? Do we need to take a vote on this, Mike?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you guys are approving this to recommend the payout of that 5-year TIF program and amending that contract. So it would be a absolute roll call vote.
Okay.
There is no public comment.
Okay. Let's have roll call, please.
Board Member Maldonado,
Yes.
Board Member Lewis,
Yes.
Vice Chair Ritchie,
Yes.
Board Member Campenny,
Yes.
Board Member James,
Yes.
repeat please. Board Member James,
Yes.
Board Member Wilson,
I think he's left.
He left the meeting.
and Mr. Walker abstained on.
Correct.
Correct. All right, that's it.
With that, I guess we'll call this meeting adjourned then. Well, for your time and energy.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.